Before this video gets started, I just wanted to say thank you to all channel members for supporting the channel. It truly means a lot. If you want to become a channel member, hit the link down in the description. Now, let's get on with today's video. Yo, what is going on, guys? Pineapple Sways. I'm going to be talking about year one cut content that didn't make the final cut for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Once again, just wanted to shout out the guy that's been providing me with all this information. You have been a huge help for the channel, and I just wanted to thank you. Once again, I still don't know if you want me to publicly give away your name and whatnot, but once again, you know who you are, and I greatly appreciate you giving me all of this information. First things first, let's start off with probably the big one. And that's that this game was meant to have a vehicle customization system similar to, I would assume, Saints Row. This is what led to the first delay back in May of 2023, the first big delay, if you will, or really the last big delay, since it went from May 23 to February 24, and then we all know it would eventually launch later that next year. Yeah, apparently at some point Sefton Hill wanted the developers to basically last minute add a vehicle customization system, which is why you would see in the Gizmo's garage sort of a garage vehicle style area in the Hall of Justice, but there's really no use to it whatsoever. That's because that was originally meant to be vehicles and a whole customization system similar to Saints Row, Grand Theft Auto, I would assume, and it just didn't make it because the developers didn't have time. I think how it would have worked, you would have spent your resources and credits to basically spend on these vehicles and customizations and basically use them out in the field against Brainiac's forces. Now we're going to move on to a season-to-season basis. Season 1 was pretty much going to stay the exact same, and Season 1 was sort of just a front-runner to how the future seasons would have played off in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Since Season 1 is pretty bare bones, it seems like no matter what would have happened, it would have stayed that way. Season 2, now I don't really know how much truth this holds, but Season 2 was supposed to be the introduction of a QVK based game mode where basically it would have been your squad versus another squad working in objective based game modes to basically win something. Not really sure how that would have worked exactly. Maybe they would have even added like a battle royale mode. I really don't know. But a multiplayer game mode was set to come out in Season 2. And you can even tell by the Season 2 comic strip, or the comic cinematic, as you can see other squads from the multiverse taking on our Task Force X. Also, too, a new enemy type was meant to be introduced, which is a Flash-infused vehicle. This tied into the story, believe it or not, as you could hear Waller say at the beginning of Episode 3 that Brainiac was continuing his experiments on the League, which gave away Flash's location. However, that's why his return felt so awkward in this episode, because this was removed. The Flash-infused vehicles. So, therefore, that connection just wasn't really there. Nora's rescue mission was changed from an escort mission, as we were supposed to escort her back to the hall. You can still find this original mission in the game's files, and this was changed because not many fans of the game, or not many people in general, liked the escort missions. There was a mass dislike online towards them. And Episode 4 and Episode 5 had their Brainiac fights swapped, which obviously we'll talk about more later. Season 3, he likes to say that this is the most disappointing one in his opinion, and I'd have to agree. Believe it or not, Robin is actually alive. It's just, and this was supposed to be his introduction, was in Season 3. We were supposed to learn about Robin's true fate this season, whether this was from an audio log or through a story mission, possibly a cutscene. He has no idea. We really don't know, but it is confirmed that Tim Drake was supposed to be alive in this season, and he was supposed to come back, maybe possibly serving a role at the Hall of Justice. We really have no idea. Now it's just people will always assume that, hey, Tim Drake is just dead, but apparently he was supposed to come back and is confirmed to be alive, since what you can find through data mines and various leaks and whatnot. Batman-infused vehicles. This was supposed to match the Gotham setting of the season, and Batman Brainiac fights. I feel like this one's pretty obvious with the Batniac fights, as just based off dialogue alone from Brainiac. Both episodes were supposed to have Batman Brainiac fights. Episode 5 instead had its fights swapped with Episode 4, likely to spread out the bigger fights. Obviously, we got reused Green Lantern and Superman fights instead, since the Batniac fights, as you know we call it, just weren't finished. Season 4, the most obvious one is Deathstroke's recruitment scene being turned into an audio log. I think this was just a tale of what was to come, that they just didn't have time, resources anymore, or manpower to really start pushing out actual cutscenes, which is why everything was really just a comic strip for the most part. Superman infused enemies as well. They could fly and needed to be countered to take damage. I also heard in the rumor mill that there was Wonder Woman infused enemies. However, I don't know if there's any truth to that. I do know though that Superman infused enemies do hold some truth though. And then the the last thing on the list here, which I won't touch about too much on, or which I won't touch much on, it is Kevin's final lines. Obviously, we have no idea why his final lines were cut, and I can only assume from a fan's perspective that hopefully one day we get to hear these lines. Yeah, so it sucks, because we waited a long while for Batman's return, but I think it was just because where the game was at, Rocksteady needed a quick way to sort of finish this game and just sort of walk away with a clean slate, and the ending we got is really their best way to do that. Will we ever get to hear Kevin's final lines? I really don't know. I hope so, but time will only tell. What do you guys think, though? This was all of the cut content from year one. Seems like year one wasn't really that ambitious, while year two was going to be a much more big leap. Which is why I wish they could have just bet on the year two storyline to be the post-launch content instead of year one, since year one, obviously, as you can tell, is lacking. And obviously, we didn't even really get to finish year one. Year one was meant to span across 6 seasons, and we got 4. And you could really argue that only one season was probably really good, which I would say season 3. Season 3 is the best season in my opinion, and I stand on that. It has the most to do, and it has the most to offer, and it has the best cutscenes in the game. So yeah. Anyways, though, let me know what you think down in the comment section. Would any of this changed or helped the game if it was in the game? In my opinion, I don't think so. But I still do hope one day that maybe we get to hear Kevin's lines if a developer posts it or not. But we'll see. Anyways, this is Pineapple Sway. Peace out.